Maybe you've gone to a church, a Bible study, or a Sunday school class and come away from it with thoughts like this. Something was a little off, not weird, not creepy, just not what you were expecting. And you don't want to be judgmental, so you go back a time or two and give them another chance, give yourself another chance to get used to it. Same thing. You're not imagining it. And maybe you've been with more than one group and there's no real study in their Bible study, but there's plenty of school and Sunday school. In fact, it's all lecture. Nobody asks any questions unless it's rephrasing something the leader has said. Everybody has the same idea. Nobody's got a different opinion, and nobody's learning anything new. Nobody will loosen up and just be themselves unless they're exceptionally boring people, in which case they are. It's like people are acting, reading from a script, doing what's expected of them, playing their assigned roles. So, what's wrong here? Every church, every religious group, every believer has a certain picture of God, and that's what they pass along to others. But they often emphasize certain things and play down different ideas, which leaves a picture of faith that is sometimes wildly inaccurate. And that can hurt people. In fact, it is often not God you're unhappy with, mad at, disappointed in, ready to bail on. It is that picture of Him. And all this needs thinking about. So let's do that. It seems as though we've reached an all-time high in how divided we are and how many ways we can find to apply an us against them framework to things we haven't observed firsthand. People have always been prone to have the strongest opinions about the things they know the least. We've shipped a lot of manufacturing overseas, but we've held on to one thing. We manufacture outrage right here at home. More than we need. We drum up all that I'm right and you're wrong energy right here. No energy crisis on that front. Of all the things going on in the world, we personally observe almost none of them. We depend on others to do that for us, and we always have. When Walter Cronkite told us years ago that's the way it is, well, that's the way it was. But those relatively innocent days are gone. Now the news is delivered by people who give us only the part that a focus group has told them their audience will agree with. And as a bonus, they'll tell you how to think and feel about it. And how do you feel about it? Well, you're outraged, of course. But this isn't about news or politics. I'd be more than happy not to think about politics at all. Just let responsible adults I knew and trusted take care of running the country, and all of us could go on living our lives, which, let's face it, is hard enough. But we don't live in that world anymore. We live in this one. Gordon Carmel Theological Seminary says that there are about 45,000 different Christian denominations around the world. So Christianity didn't get to the state that it's in by agreeing on everything. And the Bible, depending on the translation, has about 750,000 words in it. So this bedrock of our faith can be used to prove or disprove about anything. So you name a topic and you can find people who disagree about it. And usually politely, without a lot of cursing. For instance, you never heard of an angry mob of Presbyterians storming into a Methodist church some Sunday morning, insisting that they believe in Calvinism. Baptist, maybe. Sometimes people, I know, ask what I'm writing about, and I bring up the term religious deconstruction. I get a pretty blank look, and that's regardless of whether they go to church or not. If I explain it to them, if it's possible for a blank look to get even blankier, well, that's what happens. So this religious deconstruction community seems like a niche group in some ways, yet the Barna Group, sort of a Gallup poll for religious people, says that 42% of adults have deconstructed the faith they had when they were young. And among Christians, 36% have done the same. Now, if this poll is anywhere near accurate, it implies that about a third of Christians have certain aspects of their faith that they've questioned. But they haven't left it altogether. So much of the one foot out the door crowd didn't leave permanently. They just took a break. And while they were taking that break, they found some things wrong with the religious practices they were brought up with. That is not abnormal. If you were parents, you might have seen your children do some dubious and unwise things. But that's a far cry from not loving them. It would be a good practice for those so sure of their faith to extend some grace and understanding to members who are questioning their own beliefs. It's said that God has no grandchildren, and maybe that's a little simplistic, but there's some truth to it as well. Those who have wrestled with their God and come up with a faith that they in some way own, it's their faith. It's not secondhand. Those who picture a harsh and angry God waiting to punish them for the slightest misstep, they begin to see that that's a fair way to treat others. And those who picture a benevolent and merciful God who practice a faith based on Matthew 25 are free to be kinder people because that's the way they see the nature of their relationship with God playing out. Now, I don't pretend this is a hard and fast rule that applies to everyone. There are a lot of everyone's out there, all walking their own unique path. Our picture of God dictates our beliefs about His nature. Okay, a little aside here. I picture God as being above and beyond any idea of gender that you or I have. So when I say he or him or his, I'm not saying God is male. It's more than acknowledging the limits of human language. Whatever our picture of God, it's likely inaccurate. His nature is beyond our reach. Really, would we want to worship and pray to a God just like us with our wants and needs, with our imperfections? Some people did that in the 1980s with what was called the prosperity gospel. They wanted to have a lot of money, so they imagined a God that wanted that for them too. So they cherry-picked a few of the 750,000 verses that seemed to prove that. But God doesn't seem to be interested in making us rich. When God made an appearance in the affairs of mankind as either Old Testament prophets or Jesus, no obvious favoritism toward the rich was apparent. I've known a number of people that didn't have 2 dimes to rub together, and our money or lack of it isn't the measure of faith some would like it to be. God stands apart from our desire for wealth and power. That is not what God's about. So if you take away anything from this at all, let it be this. It's a danger to churches and individual believers alike to start forming a God of our own liking who agrees with us. God will form us to be more like Him, more loving, more merciful, more forgiving, if we allow it. It doesn't work the other way around. So that's it for today. Thank you for your kind attention. I will see you later on.